There is a famous quote that says that there are only two things certain in life: death and taxis. What? Oh, taxis. Death and taxis. Although we're the only species on the planet that is aware of their own mortality, it's still very sad when we lose someone close to us. So imagine when that person we've just sadly lost reaches out and contacts us via email. Sounds bizarre and a bit far-fetched, right? But what if I said that this person's emails came from their own account, which no one knew the password for? And what if those emails contained highly personal information that only the account holder would know? Private conversations and information that was bang on the money. Hi folks, I'm Johnny and welcome to The Oddest. If you like stories about the unexplained and unsolved mysteries, then why not subscribe? It will only take a wee second and it means that you won't miss out seeing my wee bra face every time I upload a video. Right, let's get into it. In November of 2011, Tim Hart was sitting on his couch going through the day's emails when a new notification popped up on his inbox. He had a new email. Clicking on it, the email's subject heading would read, "I'm watching." The main body of the email went on to say, "Did you hear me? I'm at your house. Clean your effing attic." When Hart read the email, he was confused, of course, until he looked at the email address of the sender. It was his best friend Jack Froese. The strange thing here is that Jack died suddenly 5 months prior. This wasn't the only email sent from Jack Froese's account. Each email contained information only known to Froese. Now, I know what you lot are thinking, because when I first heard about this story, I thought only two things. Either Froese, who was known to be a bit of a practical joker, had set up scheduled emails to send to his pals and family as one last prank, or someone close to Froese hacked his account and was sending these emails as some sick joke. The problem with either of these theories is the fact that Jack didn't actually know when he was going to die. It wasn't like he was ill and he knew that death was coming. His death was sudden. Secondly, his passwords were airtight. No one knew them. Besides, in subsequent emails, Jack would describe events that happened after his death. Jack Froese was a 32-year-old living in Dunmore, Pennsylvania. In June of 2011, he quickly developed a heart arrhythmia, ultimately resulting in his sudden death, which left his family and friends shocked to the core, as no one knew, including Jack, of his impending passing. He was known as a sarcastic person and had a great sense of humour. Always laughing and making those around him laugh, he had a close circle of friends and he was well loved by everyone. Jack Froese and Tim Hart were childhood friends and remained best buddies into adulthood. Just prior to his death, Jack was at Tim's home when Tim had to go into his attic. Jack popped up his head and made comments about how messy it was and that it needs a good clean out. That was the sum of the conversation, and certainly not one that was repeated to anyone else. Tim sent a reply to the email he received, but to date, there's been no response. Jack would go on to send more emails from the grave. One such email landed in the inbox of Jack's cousin, called Jimmy McGraw. The subject simply said, "Hey Jim." The message then read, "How you doing? I knew that you were going to break your ankle. I tried to warn you. Got to be careful. Tell Rock for me, great song. You're welcome." Couldn't get through to him, his email didn't work. The creepy thing about this email was that Jimmy did actually break his ankle as he was heading out to work one morning, but it happened long after Jack had passed away. So what's going on? Is Jack Froese somehow communicating to his loved ones from the grave? Or is there a more rational and scientific explanation? Let's get a wee look at some theories. Did you know that there are several services available now for users to send emails after their death? It's a bit like the Facebook service when, if a user passes away, then their account is handed off to a designated person. But remember, as we've discovered, Jack's death was sudden, so it's fair to assume that he didn't have enough foresight to set up such a service. Also, the fact that he addressed the broken ankle, there was no way that he could have known this prior to him passing. The most obvious solution would be that someone hacked into Jack's email account. But then it would have to be someone very close to him to have known some of the information that was in these emails. The story hit major news outlets and websites, so maybe whoever was behind all this just wanted to have their 5 minutes of fame or time in the spotlight. It seems rather far-fetched and highly improbable that these emails were coming from the deceased Jack Froese. Whatever the cause of this strange case, those that have received emails from Jack's account have went on to say that they have taken the emails in a positive light, that even for a moment believing that Jack was reaching out gave them a degree of comfort. His cousin Jimmy would go on to say, "I'd like to think that Jack sent it. I look at it as he's gone, but he's still trying to connect with me, trying to tell me to move along, to feel better." Tim Hart didn't mind the emails either. Even if it was a cruel prank, he still considered it to be a positive thing. Jack Froese's mother came out and said, "I saw they made people happy. They upset some people, but I see it as people were still talking about him." No other emails were ever received from Jack's email address, and no reply was ever given to any of those that responded to Jack. There's no way of knowing what was behind these mysterious emails. However, I had my own thoughts on this. If you went onto my computer right now, you'd be able to get into my emails fairly easily, because for ease of access, the cookies stored on the web browser automatically logs me in. Also, the first thing I would have thought about doing was tracing the IP address of these emails. Now, you don't need to be a hacker or an expert to do this. A simple search on YouTube would show you exactly how to do this. So what do you all think? Personally, I think it was someone else doing it as opposed to someone from the grave. Or, here's a theory that just came to me. What if they were sent from Jack on another timeline, like an alternate universe? Leave me a wee comment below with your theory. In the meantime, let's go and get a wee cup of tea. Take care of yourselves, and remember, keep smiling.